Hey, it's Alicia. Welcome back. I kind of missed last week's video, so this one is going to be a little bit extra long because I missed last week's. I was planning on posting our wedding video and I found out that I wasn't able to post it. So kind of missed last week's, but I'll make this week's extra long. And this one is focusing on my bullet journal. It'll be a flip through of my April month as well as a flip through of my May month. So it's not technically a plan with me this month. I just drew it out and I'll just kind of flip through what I plan out for this month. Excuse my nose, I'm congested. I think it's just allergies with the changing weather, which I'm so thankful for that it stopped snowing. I mean, it was snowing up until last week here in Montana. So I'm really excited that we're finally getting some warm weather. But I do apologize for my sniffles and my plugged nose. So here's a little backstory on the past couple months. If you've followed my videos or my Instagram, you'll notice that I really wasn't filling in my trackers, like my habit trackers at all. And I used to be really good with it. But these past few months, I just wasn't interested in really using my bullet journal. I wasn't really going to it every day or even every other few days. I don't know why I stopped using it as much. And I was falling off of my routines and habits and just not taking care of myself as much. And I noticed a difference in my body, obviously, like I put on some weight and I was like dragging, I wasn't feeling as well. So I was like, you know what, for May, I'm just going to focus on myself and like personal development. So you'll see that coming up here. I'll stop talking so you're not staring at a journal this whole time. But first, I'll give you a quick flip through of April, which was my retro theme. And if you watched my April plan with me, you have already seen all of these pages. But I'll do a quick flip through, and I'll put that video linked right here at the top of the screen. If you want to go check out that plan with me video, that one was a fun one to do. So here we just have quick flip through. I asked on my plan with me video if I should color these in, and I got quite a few comments that I should. So I went back and colored these in, and I think it does make everything pop a little bit better. So I think that was great advice. So thank you so much for commenting. I love reading the comments on my videos, and it really means a lot to me when I'm, doing all this bullet journaling. And then here's my mood tracker. I thought turned out pretty cute. Like I've said before, I don't like to number my mood trackers because I get obsessed if certain colors are if 10 of them are the same color. I just don't like that. So I just color in wherever I think the color will match best. And I was pretty random. I was kind of feeling every mood. Just hit a couple days, which is good. The rest were pretty content, happy, productive, all those good things. And as you can see here, I barely used my tracker. I was going back a week later, not remembering what I did. I wasn't really following any of my habits either. I can't pretend I actually did these things. I really didn't do my self-care habits that I wanted to. And I showed you in March that I didn't really do it this month either. So I'm gonna try something new this month. I'm regrouping, resetting goals, all those things, because I kind of just spiraled out of every routine that I had. And it's funny because I'm an occupational therapist, and one of the major things we help people do after a disease or an injury is build a routine with them, because that is so ideal to reach your goals. You need a routine and you need habits, or else you won't stick to them. So it's just ironic, I guess, that I can't stick to my own routines and things in habits. So I can be a good teacher, but sometimes I can't live what I'm teaching. But I'm resetting some goals and moving forward. I drew this little drawing out. Here's one of my weeklies. Did a doodle page. And then this quote I thought was really inspiring. I saw it on Samantha Broderick's Instagram. And then I got 350 followers on Instagram, and I was really excited about that, so I drew that picture. Here's another weekly, comply with me, with a little silhouette of people dancing. And then I did a 1950s The More You Know, which I did a video on, and I'll link that below if anyone's interested in seeing that, and if they already haven't seen it. I did learn a lot about the 1950s. And then just a to-do list, and then I did do this doodle. I really liked this. I saw that picture on Pinterest, and I redrew it here. another to-do list. And then this is kind of like April 18th, I realized, oh my gosh, I've gotten way out of routines. I need to do something about this. This is just crazy. So I just kind of built a accountability tracker a little bit. I tried it out. I kind of color coded to daily, a plank, side plank, number of steps, what yoga I did, and if I was doing any weightlifting. You can see I started off really well, and then I kind of forgot to track, and I got all out of whatever. So it just didn't happen, and like I said, we're regrouping. And then here, April was OT month, and on like the last, well, I guess like one of the last days of April, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to honor, you know, my field of work. And I thought this quote was so cool, and I posted this on Instagram. And it's a great way to describe our field of work, and I think it's such a rewarding field of work, and that quote kind of resembles all that. So you can pause the screen and read it if you'd like. And now we're getting into May. And for May, I really didn't have a theme in mind. I was, I don't know, not uninspired, but I just didn't have a theme that I was gonna stick to. I don't know. So I just said a month for personal development. That's pretty much what my theme is this month. And this is just a little, gosh, what's it called? Like a little cork board or bulletin board maybe that you hang on your wall with little pins and a couple post-it notes and a little plant. And once I drew the plant, I was like, ooh, that was fun. And like I drew these flowers. These were, I should have mentioned this, these were done by tutorials by Bone Journal, and I'll put that on the screen right here. And she does great flower tutorials that are really easy to follow. So after drawing these, I was like, wow, plants are kind of fun to draw. Like, okay. So then I drew this, and I was like, again, wow, plants are really fun to draw. And I just bought myself a couple succulents from the grocery store. I'll show you on screen. And if you know me at all, you know I always tend to kill, I kill all of the plants I've ever tried to keep alive. I don't know what my problem is. My mom has an amazing green thumb, and it just didn't carry on to me, but I'm gonna keep trying. And so I thought I'd buy some succulents, and I mean, they're so pretty. See if it can focus. Here's one, and then here's my other guy right there. And I thought you could keep them in little pots like this, which I think you can, but I looked on Amazon and I got really cute pots for them and certain soil. Like I didn't know if you're supposed to like plant this in a certain soil or a different soil, but I'm gonna try. So I don't know where I was going with bringing up the plants, but I got some plants from the grocery store, and then I just started drawing succulents. You'll see as we continue on the month. I was like really inspired just to keep drawing succulents, and this is nothing new in the bullet journal world. I've seen it everywhere, and if you guys have ever tried to draw one, you know it's fun too, because like you really can't mess up. You just keep drawing leaves on top of leaves, and it still looks like a succulent. So you'll see how I incorporated them a little bit later. Okay, so I always have the title page, and then I go to the monthly layout of all the things I have, if it would focus, of all the things I have going on. And I kind of did this an agenda inspired theme, so it's kind of like you're in your room at your desk, like you have your cork board, and then you have your agenda lying out in front of you. So I guess I do have sort of a theme. And my color scheme are kind of like a black, green, and like a gold color. And here's my layout, and then I have a little quote: inhale confidence, exhale doubt, some goals, and then this is my first succulent I drew, and then I colored it in with my tombow dual brush pens, and I drew this out with my tombow mono pens. Oh my gosh, tombow mono drawing pens. And I will link all the supplies I used in my description below. And here are all my goals for this month. Then this is inspired by Bujo Blossom. She did something similar where it's a memory page for the whole month where you write in like what you read, watched, listened to, created, disliked, and she had another section too. And then these boxes are where you can draw in some of your memories from the month. And then I just added in some succulents and a cactus. And these are so much fun to color in, you guys. It's like you're drawing your own coloring book that's super easy to draw. Like I said, you can't mess them up because they just look like succulents no matter what. And then for my grateful page, I'm trying out something a little bit different. I usually do a list of numbers and then I just write out something I'm grateful for. But I find it gets repetitive, especially when I'm not filling in my bullet journal as much as I typically do. I'm like going back like a week later and I'm like, well, I don't know. I walked outside, I guess. So I'm trying something new where I'm gonna do little doodles for something I'm grateful for, just like Kara from Bohoberry does. I love how those pages turn out, but I've never tried one. So I'm gonna try one this month and see if I like it more. All right, moving on, we have the mood tracker. Again, I don't like to number my mood trackers because I don't like certain colors like all in one spot. So I outlined it in this like pretty teal green color, and then I'm going to color it in with these colors depending on my mood. And I just have 4 moods, just like sad, excited, happy, and bleh. And I'm just going to color in the inside. I do not know what it's going to turn out like. I have no idea, but hopefully it turns out okay. All right, and then I also changed up my habit tracker. So usually I do, you know, the L shape where I have my habits listed, the days, and then I fill out my habits. Well, it hasn't been working the past couple months, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna regroup, I'm gonna try something different. This took forever to draw out, but it ends up looking pretty cool. So if you have some extra time, it really isn't bad. And these are my habits that I'm gonna focus on this month. I think this one's really interesting because this is a bad habit I have, is when you wake up, I go straight to my phone, I check all of my messages, all of my notifications, look on Instagram, look on whatever, Facebook, if I feel like it. And it's unproductive and it's not really a good way to, you know, start your day. So I'm trying to do no screen in the morning until I at least go through my miracle morning. I'm gonna try that out. And I will let you guys know what I think and if it helps me stick to my goals a little bit better, if it doesn't, so we'll see. All right, and then I have a savings page. Ryan and I finally had a day off where he didn't have to work, and we haven't had one like that since I moved out here in October. He's been busy with his residency, so he finally had a day off. He took a day off, and we sat down and kind of was decided what we needed to save for. We looked at our bank account because we were kind of set back a little bit with me not working for a few months, and we're finally starting to catch back up with me getting back to work. And it was actually, we really enjoyed it. It was really fun just to like look at our bank account. Obviously it's fun when you actually have the money. Like we had tried a few months ago and a few months prior to that, and I just got so frustrated every time because it's not fun when you don't have money. Like it's fun when you have some backup, sure. So now we have like all these dreams that we want to get. Like the worst thing we could have done was go into Best Buy on our day off because of course you want everything in the store. You can't walk into Best Buy without at least wanting something that costs over $500. So now we have some goals, and we over the past couple months we've gotten into some bad habits of going out to eat, you know, having a drink, and that costs a lot of money, and we realized how much money we were putting towards going out and not just staying in and things like that. So now we had to set some goals of why we want to save the money and not go out. So for savings, this is based off of Kara from Bohoberry. She had a spread like this, and I can link that down below as well. It's a really great spread, and I loved how organized it was. I looked up a few savings trackers, and that's the one that made most sense to me. So we just have a 6-month emergency fund. Of course, this is because of Best Buy. We had to have an electronics fund because I want an iPad now, and I want noise canceling headphones, and this is for 2 of them, is $900, which is ridiculous. Like, I don't know if we'll even end up spending the money on those, but like, I love those so much. I wore them in the store and we just connected so much. I don't know, I want them. And then a travel fund, and then a house fund, like for a down payment on a house. So that's our start. These plants, I saw a picture online, so I decided to redraw these, and I set some goals of how to achieve, I hate when I say how to achieve these goals. So pay off credit card bills. Like Ryan had some debt from before I had moved out here before the wedding, and we ended up paying off all of those extra expenses on his credit card. So we did that. We paid off the ring, my wedding ring, which was really nice. Got that all paid off. And then I just have some other goals to stay focused on these goals. Limit going out, limit alcohol, avoid additional debt, like putting too much on credit cards and not being able to pay it off. Stop spending frivolously, decrease stress. I think this is a big thing because when you're stressed, you tend to spend more money to make you feel better. I don't know, I do. Either on food or fun stuff or alcohol, whatever, just to relieve stress. So if I decrease my stress, I'm not going to be as prone to doing all those things. Picture long term, that's a thing I have a lot of difficulty with. I can't see the big picture and I just focus on the here and now. And seeing the big picture, looking at these goals, we can better be able to save up some money. Do a monthly review, I think is really important, especially with Ryan. I think it's important to look at our finances, see where we're at, and divide up our savings appropriately, and then alternate the goals if appropriate. And here we get into my weekly tracker, and it is set up just like I was doing my weeklies a few months back in March. Let me see if I can get one real quick. Kind of similar, but I couldn't redo these because that's already in my tracker for the whole month. So I did something different. I did a to-do list, some meals, what meals I have going on for the week, and then next week, which I really like this. I didn't even think of putting this in there, but I saw that Bujo Blossoms did it in one of her weeklies, and I was like, wow, that's really smart, because I always think, wait, I'm not going to do that till next week, and then I forget what I had mentioned the week before, what I needed to do. So this is my weekly, and then this was a quote from a screensaver that I had on my computer for like a year. And it was really cute. It just said, "You belong among the flowers." And then I drew another succulent, and I really like coloring in the purple ones. They're really fun to color in. I used a little bit of purple here too, and you'll see I used them more in a little bit. And I do realize that this video is super long, but I'm trying to make up for the lack of video last week. So just pretend this is kind of 2 weeks worth of information. So here, with these boxes, this was also inspired by Bujo Blossoms Weekly. She kind of put the weather here, and then this box, I'm going to put what yoga I did that day. And I'm just starting to do the Perfect Body Yoga program by Erin Motz, which is kind of a play on words. It's not to get the perfect body, it's to perfect the body that you already have. So I'm starting that, and Ryan and I started to do weightlifting, and I was so sore after the first day that I woke up with like a muscle spasm in my neck, and I couldn't turn my head, and I had to go to work. And you know, like, I help people transfer, and I help not lift people, but help them get out of bed, get to chairs, it's stuff. So like, if I can't even turn my head I could barely drive myself to work because I couldn't turn my head. It was just so funny. So quick story. Well, I'll get to the story in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself because I really wanted to tell this story. So anyways, Ryan and I started weightlifting, and I can like barely walk because I tried to do yoga the next day too, and it was one that kind of worked your quads, and like I can't even walk. I'm walking like a penguin. It's ridiculous. Anywho, okay. And then, like I said, this is a whole month of self-improvement, self-personal development. I'm trying all new things to try to keep me on track. And I saw this from a YouTube video that popped up of a bullet journaler. Her name was like Caitlin something. And I'll link it, and I'll put a post of this self-care challenge too, because I think it's super cool. And it's actually one that you do for 30 days, but I tend to fall off track with that. Like if I miss a day, I get a day or two, I get overwhelmed. I'm like, well, I can't do the rest of the tracker. So with this one, I just did it more where I check it off, and I want to be able to complete it by the end of the month. So if I do a few of these one day, that's fine. I don't have to do like this one on the first, this one on the second, this one on the third. I feel better if I just do whatever makes sense that day, and I can check it off. I liked how it divided it up into the mind, body, and soul, and what self-care tasks you can do to improve yourself on each of those. And like I said, I'll link it so you can read, because my writing's kind of sloppy, and if you want to try it out for your bullet journals. And then I drew a couple succulents again, and then one of these says say positive affirmations, and then I also, during my miracle morning, is you say a positive affirmation to yourself that can be part of it. So I drew out like a little clipboard, like my desk theme, and I wrote down different positive affirmations that I had found on Pinterest or that I thought of myself. And then I kept messing up and smearing it, so it's kind of a messy page, but whatever. Okay, this is where my story will come in. So I started listening to podcasts and I fell in love, and I'm like, I need to do something where I track what podcasts I've been listening to and what I'm learning from the podcasts, because I sometimes will listen to personal development podcasts or just ones for fun. So I'm trying to do something. It's a month of podcasts. These are like the headphones that I want at Best Buy. I redrew them because I want them so bad. And I drew out like a few boxes, and I'm just going to write in what podcast I listen to, or I don't know if I'm going to write the specific episode or just the type of podcast, and I'm going to try to listen to like this many different types of podcasts. And then this page is to write down what I learned. It's kind of like, they're supposed to be kind of like sticky notes, and just write down little notes of what I had learned from the podcasts. So my sister had told me about the podcast My Favorite Murder, and I listened to the first episode, and I had gone for a walk. It was like maybe 7:30 at night, and I decided to go for a walk. Well, the first episode is an hour and 16 minutes. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just walk that whole time. And mind you, this is the day after we started the weightlifting session. So I was already sore, and my neck was not working correctly. I still couldn't turn my head after work. And so I was like, okay, I'll just go for a walk to stretch out my muscles. So I'm going for a walk, and I was listening to the podcast, and it's so good. You guys have to try out this podcast. It's hilarious. It was cracking me up. And so I'm walking, and I get about maybe like 55 minutes into the podcast, and I'm about 20 minutes back to the apartment. I pretty much timed it out perfectly that I would be walking for an hour and 16 minutes. And so I'm almost back, and they start talking about the Golden State Killer, which, if you don't know, he was this guy in California that started raping women and like breaking into people's houses, and I don't know. But I was alone, and it was dark outside because I'm an idiot and didn't think of the time in the darkness that would happen when I started to walk at 7:30 at night and planned to walk for an hour and 16 minutes. So guess what? The sun was going down. I never had told Ryan how long of a walk I was taking. I wasn't carrying pepper spray, and I'm walking down the street, and I'm like, crap, what if I get murdered? Oh my God, I did not plan this out correctly. So I'm walking as fast as my legs will take me, my sore legs from working out. Like, mind you, we worked out all of the muscle groups. We're trying something different where we didn't just focus on one muscle group. No, we weightlifted for every muscle group. So my neck, my arms, my abs, and my legs were all killing me. So I know that if someone's chasing after me, I won't be able to run. Yeah, adrenaline will help me for a little bit, but I don't know how much my muscles can take. So I was thinking of this as I was walking home. I had about 15-20 minutes left, and I was listening to this podcast of this guy that was just raping and murdering people. I was freaking out. Well, I'm trying to turn my head over my left and my right shoulder to look for murders or people stalking me. Well, I can't turn my neck. So I had to turn my whole chest back and forth. I looked like an idiot. I'm walking extra fast, and I keep like turning my chest because I can't turn my neck, looking over my shoulder, seeing if there's any murders after me. And of course there wasn't. But I looked ridiculous. But it was just funny. My first time listening to that podcast, I was freaking myself out from listening about the Golden State Killer, and I was worried I was going to get kidnapped myself. But anywho, so I wanted to write that down as my first thing, is, my favorite murder, and then right here, like, people are freaking creeps. Like, this is scary world we live in. That's what I learned about My Favorite Murder podcast. But I won't. All right, and that is it for my May setup. Please let me know what you think of my monthly setup, and if you try any of these personal development trackers, or if you're on the same page where you just like fell off your routines and that you need just to regroup and restart. So we'll close this guy on. And I wanted to thank you guys so much for watching this video and for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate the support. It means a lot to me. Even every time I get a comment or a like or a new subscriber, it means so much to me, and it keeps me moving forward. And if you listen to the My Favorite Murder podcast, please let me know and let me know what you think. And I'm going to try out a ton of other podcasts, or If you have any recommendations of other podcasts I should watch, please comment them down below. I'm looking for different podcasts. I have about 30 boxes of podcasts to fill up, as you saw, and I want to try all different types. That will be it for today. If you don't follow me already on Instagram, you can go ahead and find me at Lacey Lynn. And I also have a website that I need to update because I've fallen behind on everything in my life. But if you want to check out the website, it's laceylynn.com. And I think that's all the social media I have to promote. Yeah, that's about it. So thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you next week.